Hi, and welcome to One Life Matters, the podcast that reminds you that your life is worth living with purpose, joy, and authenticity. I'm Trish, a counsellor and life coach, and I'll be sharing down-to-earth conversations, insights, and tools to help you navigate the ups and downs of life. Whether you're healing from the past, finding your confidence, or simply wanting to feel more at peace with yourself, this is your space. Because you only get one life and it truly matters. Just before we get into this episode, I just want to mention that this podcast is for general information, insight, and reflection only. It's not a substitute for personal therapy, counselling, or medical advice. Welcome to part 1 of Crazy Little Thing Called Love, where I'll be taking just a sneak peek into why love makes us feel amazing, terrified, irrational, bonded, addicted, heartbroken, hopeful, and sometimes a bit unhinged. I'll be exploring why love feels so good and hurts so much, the science, the mess, and the magic of love. Understanding love through the nervous system and where biology meets the heart. Because when we understand what's happening in the body and brain, we stop thinking we're weak, dramatic, or too much, and realise that we're just very, very human. So let's start with those hormones, the chemical cocktail of love: dopamine, oxytocin, and cortisol. Dopamine is the I can't stop thinking about you chemical. It's all about motivation and reward. It's what lights up when we're excited, curious, and anticipating something good. In early love, dopamine goes through the roof. Your brain becomes laser focused on one person. You replay texts, conversations, and those tiny moments. It's that delicious phase when you feel energized, alive, and hopeful. This is why new love feels so obsessive. It's not that you've lost your self-respect or dignity. Your brain is literally in reward-seeking mode like crazy. Oxytocin, commonly known as the love or cuddle hormone, is released through touch, sex, eye contact, emotional safety, and consistency. This is the bonding hormone. It tells the nervous system, it's okay, you're safe here. Even if actually a trauma bond is being created, and more about trauma bonding later. This is why walking away from someone you love can feel almost impossible. Your body becomes attached before your logic gets a look in. And last but not least, there's the third big player, cortisol, also known as the stress hormone. So when love feels uncertain, inconsistent, or threatening, cortisol rises and the body moves into vigilance. You start overthinking, people-pleasing, and chasing reassurance. So when people say, love shouldn't feel this hard, they're probably right. Chronic cortisol means the relationship, even if it's all in your head, is activating survival, not safety. The bit that most people don't talk about is that we don't just fall in love with a person, we fall in love with how our nervous system feels around them. So if someone soothes you, feels emotionally predictable, and responds consistently, your nervous system relaxes. But if someone blows hot and cold, is emotionally inconsistent and unpredictable, your nervous system stays on edge and can easily mistake intensity for intimacy. This is why some people feel bored in a healthy, safe relationship and electrified and excited in a chaotic one. The body is chasing familiar activation, not happiness, because our system isn't wired to seek happiness, it's wired to seek familiarity. So if chaos, inconsistency, or emotional distance has been historically normal, the body can mistake that activation for love. Calm, healthy connection can feel unfamiliar or even boring at first, but not because it's wrong, but because the body hasn't yet learned that peace, calm, and regulation can be safe. If you've ever wondered why love can feel so addictive, well, That's because romantic love activates the same reward pathways as addiction, especially when there's inconsistency or intermittent reinforcement, such as when connection or affection is given inconsistently. Sometimes you get closeness, reassurance, or warmth, and other times you get nothing at all. When the reward is unpredictable, the brain becomes more focused and more attached, constantly waiting and craving for that next hit of connection. It's this inconsistency that keeps the nervous system hooked. It says, if I just hang on in there, the reward will come. You're not addicted to the person, you're addicted to the dopamine spikes and relief cycles. This is why people so often stay in unhealthy relationships with partners who give crumbs, even when deep down they know better. It's not weakness, it's actually neuroscience. And when it comes to heartbreak, this is the part I want everyone to hear. Heartbreak isn't just emotional. Brain scans show that rejection and loss activate those same regions as physical pain and withdrawal symptoms as drug detox. When a bond is broken, the three amigos go into a frenzy. Dopamine crashes, oxytocin drops, and cortisol spikes, and your body goes into a state of panic and alarm. That's why heartbreak can feel like chest pain, nausea, a tight throat, exhaustion, and brain fog. Your body is grieving the loss of regulation, not just that person. So if you've ever wondered, why does this hurt so much? It's because your nervous system has lost a safe attachment, or at least the hope of one. The way we love as adults didn't start in adulthood. Our love language began in childhood, in our earliest relationships, where our nervous system learned what love feels like. Not so much what love should be, but what it is. If love felt safe, consistent, and emotionally available, your body learned to relax in closeness. If love felt unpredictable, distant, overwhelming, or conditional, our nervous system learned to stay alert, and we carry that wiring forward, often without realizing it. Now, here's the tricky part. Because the nervous system doesn't seek what's healthy but what's familiar, calm, steady, emotionally available love can, as we've mentioned before, feel beige and boring, flat or even uncomfortable if chaos was our norm. Meanwhile, we can get quickly hooked on intense, hot and cold, emotionally dysregulated and unavailable love. It can feel exciting, magnetic or alive because it's what our body recognizes. It feels known. Now, at this point, I want to take a peek at trauma bonding. Trauma bonding happens when emotional pain and emotional relief come from the same person. The system gets hooked on the cycle of tension and stress, the withdrawal, the anxiety, followed by relief, affection, or closeness. That relief releases our good old friends dopamine and oxytocin like a strong, soothing balm, creating a powerful attachment even when the relationship is harming us. So we don't bond through love alone, we bond through survival patterns. You meet someone and the connection feels instant. There's the intense eye contact, deep conversations early on, the sex is mind-blowing if you've got to fourth base yet, and a feeling of, finally someone gets me, I've met my twin flame, my soulmate. Your system lights up like a Christmas tree. This feels exciting, alive, meaningful, bloody amazing. Then after a while, things just start to feel off. They might pull away emotionally. They become inconsistent. Affection kind of comes and goes. You begin to feel anxious. You overthink those texts and try far too hard to stay connected. Then they come back, apologetic, warm, loving, and suddenly attentive again. Relief floods your body, the anxiety drops, and once again, you feel chosen, regulated, and calm. That relief feels like love. Over time, that pattern of closeness, distance, anxiety, reunion, and then relief repeats itself, and without realizing it, you stop asking yourself, Is this healthy? And you start asking, how do I get back to the good bit? You're no longer bonding through safety or consistency. You're bonding through stress and relief, and your body gets the repeated message and learns, this is connection. In a similar way, red flags often feel like through-the-roof chemistry, but chemistry is actually nervous system activation. Inconsistency, emotional distance, mixed signals, they're all the hallmarks of red flags. And they can light up an anxious nervous system that learned early on to chase connection. And I really want you to listen to this. The body mistakes intensity for intimacy and anxiety for attraction. Let that sink in for a moment. So when someone feels too compelling, too urgent, and too consuming, that's often not love speaking. It's old wiring, old attachment stories asking to be replayed. Let's say you're with someone who's a bit unpredictable. They're sharp, witty, and emotionally intense. Again, the conversations feel charged. There's great banter, teasing, maybe a little edge, and you find yourself leaning in, alert and engaged. However, you notice, they interrupt you sometimes. They challenge your feelings and aren't great at emotional repair when you felt hurt by their comments or actions. But instead of registering this as unease, your body interprets the heightened state as a spark. It makes your heart beat a little faster, you feel awake and activated. In fact, what's actually happening is your nervous system is scanning and adapting, staying switched on and alert. But the alertness gets mistaken for attraction. So when someone calmer, steadier, emotionally available, and regulated comes along, they feel nice but a bit flat, safe but boring. And this isn't because they really are boring. Well, actually, they might be boring as hell. But it's more likely you feel like this because your body isn't being asked to perform, monitor, or stay on guard. Now, I want to take a whistle-stop tour of what I call the emotional landscape of love. I want to look at longing, jealousy, fear, and hope because love isn't just a single feeling. It's an emotional ecosystem. Longing shows up as that ache for closeness, reassurance, or being chosen. It often says, please stay, please don't leave, please come back. And to someone with attachment wounds, longing can feel urgent, painful rather than tender. Despite popular belief, jealousy isn't really about being controlling. It's usually fear in disguise, fear of being rejected, replaced, overlooked, or not being enough. The body is trying to protect the bond, even if the mind feels ashamed of that feeling. Fear lives underneath much of love. Fear of abandonment, of being too much, of being seen too clearly or not at all. Love really matters, so the stakes feel incredibly high. And hope. Hope keeps us open. Hope says, maybe this time will be different. It's that part of us that believes in repair, growth, and connection, even when all we've known is hurt. And all these emotions create a human attachment, and love activates that attachment system, that part of us designed to keep us connected to important others. But when connection feels uncertain, the body moves into threat mode and you feel anxious. Anxiety isn't a weakness, it's just your nervous system saying, this bond is really important to me, it really matters. Please keep it safe and don't let it break. And for a lot of us, love doesn't feel calm at first. It feels activating, not because something's wrong, but because closeness, connection, and attachment can bring old fears to the surface. And that's perfectly natural. I think one of the emotions that gets overlooked a lot in relationships is shame. Shame often whispers quietly, telling us that we must keep parts of ourselves hidden and asking, Why am I like this? Why do I need so much reassurance? Why can't I just leave? Shame tells us that our needs are too much, our emotions are embarrassing, our reactions aren't justified. And instead of asking ourselves, what do I need? Often it's, what's wrong with me? And shame thrives in silence. The more we hide our feelings, the more isolated we feel, even inside a relationship. But shame isn't evidence of failure. It's usually the echo of earlier experiences where our needs weren't met or welcomed. So I've taken a quick look at the underbelly of love, the cruel side of love that hurts, torments, and leaves us feeling broken. So why do we stay when love hurts so much? People often think staying is about weakness, when it's actually more to do with hope, familiarity, and yes, of course, fear. We stay because part of us remembers the good moments and believes that they'll return. We stay because the relationship feels familiar, even if it's painful. And we stay because leaving would mean grief, uncertainty, and facing ourselves alone. For our nervous system, familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar freedom. So we don't stay because we enjoy being hurt. We stay because our system is trying to survive what it already knows. So how do we begin to heal and rewire love? If you've ever worried that healthy love might feel too boring or that something is missing when things are calm, I want you to know that this is very natural if you've been used to dysregulation and chaos in relationships. You're not broken, so be patient with yourself. You're learning a new love language. Many of us grew up associating love with intensity, big emotions and big reactions, highs and lows. So when love is steady, kind and predictable, it can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. Safe love doesn't always come with butterflies that turn in your stomach. It comes with calm exhaling. It sounds like, I know where I stand. I don't have to chase this or try too hard. It's safe to be myself here. Exciting chaos keeps the nervous system switched on. You're alert, waiting, hoping, analysing. Safe love lets the body stand down and relax. And when you're used to chaos, calm can feel kind of empty at first. But that doesn't mean it lacks depth. It means your body is finally learning what safety feels like. However, receiving love can be a lot harder than giving it. It might feel awkward at first when someone is consistent and emotionally regulated. You might find yourself feeling a bit suspicious of them, uncomfortable when they're kind without strings attached or an ulterior motive. You might find yourself minimizing this unfamiliar calm, telling yourself, they're just being nice, it won't last. Learning to receive love takes time and practice. It's noticing the urge to run, but staying anyway. Letting the compliment land. Allowing someone to take care of you without you having to earn it. Love isn't something you have to perform or work hard for. It's something you get to rest into. And love that's healing isn't just about moving forward. It's also about grieving. Grieving the relationship you stayed too long in. Grieving the version of you that tried harder than anyone should have to. Grieving the fantasy that this time it would finally be different. And that really matters because those patterns once protected you. At the time, they made sense. They were your best attempt at connection. Letting them go doesn't mean that they were wrong. It just means they're no longer needed. So it's important to build emotional safety slowly, taking small steps. It's about being able to say, you know what, that hurt, and not fearing backlash or abandonment. It's repair after conflict. It's consistency over intensity. It's also something you build with yourself, keeping the promises you make to yourself, listening to your own discomfort, and choosing clarity over confusion. And over time, your nervous system learns that love doesn't have to hurt to be real, and I don't have to disappear and be someone else to stay connected. Calm can be safe. Healing love isn't about becoming someone new. It's about slowly and gently teaching your body that love can feel safe, steady, and still meaningful, and reintegrating those parts of you that didn't feel safe to show. And one day, almost without realizing, you'll notice that you're no longer chasing love that hurts, but choosing the calm, healthy kind of love that chooses you back. Thank you for joining me on One Life Matters. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love you to subscribe and maybe share it with someone who might need it too. And remember, you only get one life, so make it one that truly matters. Until next time, take care of yourself.